Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 stars Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, and Kurt Russell, and is directed by James Gunn. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is obviously a sequel to Guardians of the Galaxy, which was actually the first film I reviewed on this channel. And I am happy to say I think that this is even better than the first film, because I think that this movie takes a more character-based approach to this story other than just the excitement and fun of the first film. Just like the first one, this film has a fantastic cast. It allows them to go into shades that we didn't actually see in the first film. Chris Pratt, despite being Chris Pratt, which is very funny, he still gets a lot to do emotionally in this film, especially with the father-dad thing with Kurt Russell, who is also fantastic in this movie. The biggest surprise in this film is actually Michael Rooker as Yondu, because I didn't realize how actually deep we were going to go into his character. He's far more complex in this film than he was in the first one, which is fantastic, because Michael Rooker is a great actor. And honestly, he carries most of the emotional weight of this film. While the emotional aspect of this film is new, we of course have the humor, and the humor is just as good as the first one. In fact, I almost would say that this film is actually funnier than the first one. Maybe the first one had bigger laughs, but this one has more laughs, and generally I'll take more laughs over bigger laughs. James Gunn really did a great job of directing this film. There is a lot of CGI he had to work with, but he still kept it grounded. I knew where everything was, which is the biggest problem with the DC movies, is that even though there's all this CGI nonsense, I never know where anybody is in accordance with the others. In this film, I know where everybody is and what location, and that's just a really tough thing to get, and it's something that most people probably won't even notice while they're watching it. But if you don't notice it, that's the best thing about it. There are two things I want to go into before I get to the negatives. I think that this has one of Marvel's best villains in a long time. That is really kind of Marvel's Achilles heel, but I think that this one is really solid. Probably the third or fourth best one. And I can't really say who it is because it's not really apparent from the beginning. And then also I want to say that Sylvester Stallone is barely in this movie, but his presence is very fun, and I think a lot of people who like Stallone's movies will get a kick out of it. This isn't exactly a negative, but I do have to mention it. The soundtrack for this film is just not as inspired as the first one, partially because, one, the first one was just the first time we've really seen that in a superhero movie, so it was more shocking, but I really just don't think the choices were very clever. They're kind of on the nose, and they were in the first one, but I feel like those songs were just so fun and perfect for that movie, and that since this is a more character-based movie, I got that the songs are less explosive, but I just don't think that the songs added as much to this film as the previous one. Okay, so let's get into the negatives. I think that while the action scenes in this movie are fun and they're fine, they are a little sloppy and a little overblown, a little silly, and I know it's Guardians of the Galaxy, it's not a serious superhero movie, but I just feel like these action scenes could have been a little bit tighter, could have felt a little more visceral, which is also my problem with the first one. I don't think James Gunn is a great action director, but it's okay because that's not really the appeal of Guardians of the Galaxy, but it's still a little bit of a negative for me. My main negative for this film is it honestly is a little bloated. Like, it has just too many ideas, and it wants to use all of them for this one film, so they're just all crammed into this 2-hour and 15-minute adventure, and for the most part I think they work, but it does cause the film to feel a little bit overdone in places, and I don't think that's really a negative in some regards, because I do think that the film kind of earns a lot of those moments, but I do think that it is a little bit of a negative. It causes it to be a little incohesive at times. Honestly though, those are really my only complaints with this film. It's a deeper movie, it's a more emotional movie. I think it's paced so well The movie goes by very quickly, but it doesn't feel like we're rushing through anything. It feels very, very well layered and well edited. And I think the performances are great. I think that for the most part, the directing is very, very solid. And the writing is fantastic, just like the first one. So I think that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is a complete home run if you're into these kind of movies. And I'm going to give it an A-. If you saw Guardians of the Galaxy, what did you think of it? Comment below and like this video if you liked it, and please subscribe. You can hit the button right down there for more great movie reviews. I'm going to be posting a lot in the upcoming weeks, especially now that we're hitting the summer movie season where there's just going to be a lot of movies to review, and I'm planning on seeing them. So yeah, I will see you all next time.